5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They've landed.
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Talk radio.
You hear us, we hear you.
Yeah, good evening everyone, and welcome to the KTPF Community Talk Show with myself, Suzanne, and Steve.
Hiya guys.
It's nice to be back with you again. It's been a weird weekend with various bits of weather all over the country, and it was supposed to rain here in Manchester today, but it's been quite sunny. So I hope where you've been, I've seen some of your pictures on Facebook of the lightning and stuff like that.
Yeah, some great pictures out there.
There was, wasn't there? But I hope whatever happens that you're warm, dry, and not
safe.
affected too much. Yes, safe.
Yes,
So
don't want any of that lightning's all well and good until it hits you.
yeah, this is it. This is
or
it.
the building you're in.
Well, Andy said it poured down where he was, and that's basically in Essex, as far as I know. So, and as I say, tonight we've got a bit of a mixed bag for you today. And the reason why I say a mixed bag, because we've got a young man coming on, Steve, called James Whittaker. Okay.
Yes,
Now,
Whittaker.
I've called him the new kid on the block because he's an up-and-coming investigator. But he's into everything. He's into dogmen. I don't want to make that sound weird, but he's into dogmen, ufology, paranormal. You know,
you already did.
You know what I mean? I didn't mean to say it that way, but no, he's into quite a lot. And
Yeah, he's looking into the dogmen of the UK.
yes, and ufology UK. He's got a couple of Facebook pages called ufology.uk, paranormal rendezvous, and obviously dogmen in UK. And he's really gone into it all guns blazing, really. Don't you agree? You know what I mean? He's not just picked one topic. He's gone for the lot.
Yeah. So I was just laughing at a comment there.
That's all right. I've just seen that comment. But no, seriously, he has though, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's really gone into it. And he's currently working on a topic that everyone's been interested in and wanted to talk about. And he's looking into a more detailed look of the black-eyed kids. Now, we all know about the black-eyed kids, or do we know a lot about the black-eyed kids?
Well, they've become very popular
Mm.
in the last, 12 to 18 months. There's been lots of reports of them.
Yeah. And apparently, I never knew this, but he says that other names that have been referenced to him are Djinns or even Arkons. So we'll be going to be learning a bit more about that. Obviously, we had a young lady on last year, Rosemary Gwilly, who was talking about the Djinn, and but I've never actually heard it mentioned in association with black-eyed kids. Have you?
No, that's the first one for me. But you never know. I'm sure he'll tell us a bit more about that link.
Yeah, this is it. So
Should there be a link, of course, because obviously it's a subject that nobody really knows much about at the present time.
no, and I'd like to apologise to our listeners before we start. Well, as you know from last week, we were rushing because we were leaving, or rather, once we finished the show, we was leaving to go back to Peterborough to help my auntie get all packed up for moving, and we did that. But I thought, well, I can't leave you all week without the latest radio replay, so I got it all sorted for you and did it, you know, and put it on YouTube before I left.
And then forgot to take it off private.
And for some unknown reason, it went onto private, which I can't understand that, because when you go onto it, yeah, it just comes up and it's automatically on public. So I don't know what happened there. So I apologise.
Maybe it's maybe they've changed the way things start off.
Maybe they do. So, but as I say, it's
mind you, the other good thing about it is that you found that we've had over 7,000 listeners on there.
Yeah,
on YouTube.
Over 7,000
That's
listeners
cool.
have been listening on YouTube. They have I must admit though, they have changed their dashboard a bit. I must admit, on the back door. So maybe it has sort of rectified itself on that. So I'll have to double check that.
Double check this time.
But I checked the previous shows that I've done recently, and they were all public, so that's okay. So, and
yes,
Chris McCarthy, if you're listening.
Chris Mack, we'll not forgive you if you leave it all private.
No, he wasn't keen, I must admit. He did tell me on the Facebook page. But hopefully this week and every other week, everything will be fine for you, Chris. So, I hope you enjoy the show still on YouTube. And all the other people that have been listening, thank you very much for listening to our show. As I say, it's not something, it's not a scheduled show. We are just a relaxed show.
We are scheduled.
Well, we are scheduled. Yeah, we come on Sundays at 8. But what I mean is, we're just a relaxed show, aren't we? Just a bunch of people bringing paranormal.
I think what you mean is we don't have a specific time slot.
No, this is what
I mean.
We
start at 8 and we finish when we finish.
Mm-hmm. And it is a relaxed show, so people coming on the show don't need to be too formal with us, you know what I mean? So that's what I mean by relaxed.
Don't need to be too nervous.
No, this is it. So apparently we're an institution. Should be in an institution. I don't know about anything else. Sometimes I think we should be in an institution.
Which one we going to, and can we take the cameras?
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to find out. But yeah. Anyway, there has been some knockings around the paranormal world this week, hasn't there? We've been keeping an eye on a few things out there, and basically there are things amiss in certain headquarters.
There are rumours flying around, but obviously we don't want to be the paranormal place.
No.
So I think we just need to try and keep everything friendly, and if and when the occasion rises, then we protect the public when we can. Yeah,
well, this is it. So but all I'm asking people out there, if you do run a group, think about your public, because they are your mainstream. Basically, they are there for you. So
yeah, if you're not for public group, they're what keep you going, and if you're a company, they're what pay your wages. So
yeah.
Please be straight with them.
Yeah. So, but as I say, there's been a few knockings going around. It does knock the paranormal world. And please, if you are a person that goes on paranormal events and you are listening to the show, please do not liken everyone the same.
Yeah, try other groups. We're not all the same. We all do different things.
This is it.
Some are better at some things than others, and
it's just the way we do it, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, it is, and you quickly find the ones that feel right with you. From ones you feel you can trust.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So enough of that. Andy says we're the highlight of his week. That's nice.
That's very nice of him.
So and what we're going to do now is we're going to send you over to Steve, and he's going to tell you about the observations for this week.
And yes, Andy, seeing it as I'm on my own this week, I will put the links in first, like I did the other day.
Before you start, I just want to say hello to everyone who's listening. Please join us in the chat room and give us your questions for our guest that's coming up at 8:30. At the moment, we've got Andy 707 in, Ghost Rider 2873. Ace Paradox has just joined us, so nice to see you there as well.
Hi, Ace.
But as I say, it's not.
We don't bite.
We don't bite.
Come in and join the chat room.
Yeah, and talk among yourselves as well. So
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. A doll captured on camera falling off a dresser at haunted mansion in Ohio.
Sorry, I'm a bit deaf. What did you just say?
What did I just say?
Yeah.
I said doll captured on camera falling off a dresser in haunted mansion in Ohio.
A doll?
A doll.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Charles Doll.
Okay.
What did you think I said?
I thought you said a dog at first.
No.
Told you my ear is really deaf still.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have to get down to doctors for that. Okay. A couple of guys got more than they bargained for after they decided to explore an alleged haunted mansion alone together. The two skeptical paranormal investigators spent the night searching for ghosts in the Prospect Place estate in Trinway, Ohio. And after they reviewed the footage later that night, something extraordinary happened upon playback on one of their cameras. Paranormal investigators John Albrecht and Dave Goldinger left Akron, Ohio on September 9th, 2012 and headed south to Trinway, Ohio to visit the infamous Prospect Place estate in Trinway, Ohio. Of course. While investigating the location, the two may have captured proof of one of the mansion's ghosts holding their haunting skills on video. In the video, a doll can be seen falling off the dresser and onto the floor. At the time the doll fell, Albrecht and Goldinger were outside taking a break, sitting on the front porch of the mansion. We set up trigger objects in the upstairs parlour, making sure everything in view of the infrared camera. We went upstairs to the attic ballroom, set up another video camera, and then finally head outside for a brief break. While talking about women and other topics, something hit me in the back. Assuming that a piece of the house had fell and hit me, I picked it up, examined it, and I noticed it was a shard of concrete from the porch. The mansion is made of brick, so it didn't fall from the house, and it wasn't masonry grout, Albrecht said. Both investigators are baffled, and they agree there has to be a rational explanation for what had happened on the porch. Seconds later, the guys heard a loud thud in the house. The noise came from the second floor of the house, and the guys eventually learnt that it was from a falling doll off the dresser in the parlour. Goldinger believes that the two incidents weren't a coincidence. Now we have watched the video, but when we see the doll falling, I would have to ask why the sound is out. You see the doll fall, and then you hear the thud. That last bit was me, by the way, and not Goldbrick, and he's Albrecht. It's really weird because the video's going fine until then. Everything seems to be in sync. And then you see the doll fall, and then there's a thud. But the doll's already hit the floor at that time. It just seems wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you would expect it to at least be in sync, which unfortunately then casts explosions on the video itself.
Andy says yes, timing is well out.
It is on that last bit. It's just not where it should be. Which makes you think that something is
amiss,
untoward, as they say.
Untoward.
How's that for once? Okay, here we go. Actress Emma Stone tells David Letterman that her grandfather haunts her family. An actress appeared on the late night talk show to promote a new film last night. During the interview segment, she informed the host that her grandfather haunts her family. Emma Stone was interviewed on the Late Show about her new film, Magic in the Moonlight, with David Letterman on Wednesday. In one segment of the show, Letterman asked Stone if she had had paranormal experience. The Arizona-born actress claims that her grandfather has always haunted her and her family. According to Stone's, quarters mysteriously appear around her house, and the ghost of her granddad is responsible for it. Have you ever had an inexplicable situation that you think was metaphysical? David Letterman asked Emma Stone, and she said she's had a few things that materialise, and there's a long family history with quarters. When my grandfather leaves quarters, it's just amazing. It's him. It's absolutely him, said Stone. Letterman did ask her to tell the full story, but she said it would take the whole show and a bit more to go through it all.
Yeah.
So
and in relating to the last one, Andy's put, did you know that red cotton is invisible to infrared? I didn't know that.
I didn't.
No, and he said, yeah, try it sometime.
No, because that would mean I'm trying to work something out there, and I don't want to do that. But it is something to think about when we're watching these things.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when they can't get the sound right.
Yeah.
So there's your next one, guys. I'm just doing 3 of these. There's quite a few here. if you go to the link there. Vanished unexplained disappearances.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we start with time tunnel.
Mm.
In 1975, a man named Jackson Wright was driving with his wife from New Jersey to New York City. This required them to travel through the Lincoln Tunnel. According to Wright, who was driving once through the tunnel, he pulled over the car to wipe the windshield of condensation. His wife Martha volunteered to clear off the back window so they could be more readily resume their trip. When Wright turned round, his wife was gone. He neither heard nor saw anything unusual take place, and a subsequent investigation could find no evidence of foul play. Martha Wright had just disappeared.
Really?
We also have the mysterious cloud. 3 soldiers claimed to be witnesses to the bizarre disappearance of an entire battalion in 1915. They finally came forward with a strange story 50 years after the infamous Gallipoli campaign of World War I. The 3 members of the New Zealand Field Company said they watched from a clear vantage point as a battalion of the Royal Norfolk Regiment marched up a hillside in Suvla Bay, Turkey. The hill was shrouded in low-lying cloud that the English soldiers marched straight into without hesitation. They never came out. After the last of the battalion entered the cloud, it slowly lifted off the hillside to join the other clouds in the sky. When the war was over, figuring the battalion had been captured and held prisoner, the British government demanded that Turkey return them. The Turks insisted, however, that it had neither captured not made contact with the English soldiers at all.
Mm.
So we had a whole battalion of people just disappear.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's one from Stonehenge.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The mysterious standing stones of Stonehenge in England was the site of an amazing disappearance in August 1971.
Mm.
At this time, Stonehenge was not yet protected from the public, and on this particular night, a group of hippies decided to pitch tents in the centre of the circle and spend the night. They built a campfire, lit several joints of pot, and sat around smoking and singing. Their campout was abruptly interrupted at about 2 a.m. by a severe thunderstorm that quickly blew in over Salisbury Plain. Bright bolts of lightning crashed down on the area, striking every trees and even standing stones themselves. 2 witnesses, a farmer and a policeman, said the stones of the ancient monument lit up with an eerie blue light that was so intense they had to avert their eyes. They heard screams from the campers, and the 2 witnesses rushed to the scene, expecting to find injured or even dead campers. To their surprise, they found no one. All that remained within the circle of stones was several smouldering tent pegs and the drowned remains of a campfire. The hippies themselves were gone without a trace.
Yeah.
There's about another 3 or 4 stories like that.
Yeah.
On page 2 of that
Yeah.
link. Or page 1, because what I took was page 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Here comes another one. Just copy that. There we go, chat room. There's your next one. Past Life in World War II Concentration Camp by Emma M. I wrote this one.
Mm.
When I was a child, I was blonde-haired and blue-eyed. I still am. As a child, although female, I always played with boys' toys. Military toys, army tanks, all appealed to me. From aged about 8, I was fascinated by the World War II. The year 1945 always stood out to me, but I wasn't sure why. When I was 12, we started learning about World War II at school. It was as though I could relate to everything. I already knew it. Already been through it. It was like I remembered the Jewish people getting more restrictions placed on them by the Nazi power in Germany. I've always felt like I've known Germany, yet I've never even breathed German air. From around 13, I've had reoccurring dreams. I'm in a concentration camp, and all the people are being marched to their deaths. The Nazis are surrounding me, and I'm watching these people go off to die, and yet I just watch and do nothing. Don't even feel the emotion, just nothing at all. I wake up sick to my stomach every time. It's always so vivid lately. I begin thinking all the stuff naturally know about World War II without researching it. The way I feel, what it's like, and my dreams make me think it was a past life. And if I wasn't a Holocaust victim, then why was I at the concentration camp? It makes me think the worst. It's not something you really want to be dreaming about.
No.
Especially if you think that it's yourself that was part of it all.
Yeah.
Well, it's not something I'd want to think about. I was part of anyway. And here's another one. Keys popped out of nowhere.
Keys.
By Kathy R. I went to visit an elderly lady in June 2014. The place, Oakdale, California, a huge cattle town back in the old West days, once filled with tons of cowboys, stockyards, cattle, and lots of cowboy history. She went on to tell me this story. When I came to visit her, I read the paranormal stories each month, and sometimes I tell her stories, but she looks at me like they are just stories, not believing much of them. She's not into that kind of thing. Well, she is 85. So she proceeded to tell me something weird that happened to her recently. She and two lady friends went out to lunch. Irma, I will call her, lost her keys and discovered this while they were driving out to lunch. She had locked her house up and got into her friend's car. So she knew the keys were with her, so she thought. Irma carries no purse. They stopped at their lunch destination, got out, and proceeded to try and find the keys before going to eat. They searched and searched all over the floor and the seats, plus Irma patted herself, so thinking they were on her. It was almost summer. She wore thin summer pants and top. Frustrated, one of the ladies suggested they go in, have lunch, and worry about the keys when they get back out to the car.
Yeah.
With lunch over and the bill paid, they all got up. As they walked out, the waitress called out saying, one of you ladies has left her keys. And they were the keys. They were sitting on the table in plain sight. Irma did not have them in her hands, nor her pockets. None of the ladies saw the keys on the table while eating. Irma is still perplexed about it. She's gone over and over in her mind. I just can't figure it out, she says. I told her you just had a paranormal experience. She looked at me and gave me this look like I'm crazy. Well, how did the keys pop out of nowhere?
Definitely.
That would... wouldn't that be classed as poltergeist activity?
Possible, yeah. Never know.
Okay, here we go. Here comes another one.
What we got next?
Okay. It says, it sure wasn't the Tooth Fairy.
All right.
This is written by Aileen F.
Yeah.
I am Matilda's daughter. I do believe there is something special about me. I think I'm a sensitive. My ghost story happened when I was 7 years old in 2011 in Apple Valley, Minnesota.
Yeah.
It was at my house, and it was the night the Tooth Fairy came. The next morning I woke up early because I was excited that the Tooth Fairy had come. I walked into the living room. It was really cold. I looked up and saw a spirit floating in the middle of the room. It was black cloaked and had a small pouch by its side. I stood there for a minute thinking, what in the world is that thing? Then I realized that it was a ghost. I could not move. I was in shock. Then I screamed at the top of my lungs. My mum and dad ran into the living room, and I said there was a ghost. It was black and cloaked. It had a pouch. My parents suggested it was the Tooth Fairy, but I knew it wasn't. My dad searched the whole house and found nothing. Another time my family and I were planting flowers for Grandma at her grave for Mother's Day, and my mum kept seeing something out the corner of her eye, but nothing was there. We went home and my mum got in bed for the night. Then she said, if that was you, Barbara, at the graveyard, give me a sign. Then the old radio clock turned on, and we don't know how to turn it on. So I guess she got the sign.
Okay. Is that your last one?
I've got one more.
Go on then.
This is it was a late edition. I spotted it on the old Facebook,
Yeah.
so I thought I'd tell you guys about it.
Go on then.
There's the link. Okay. Plenty of explanations after a massive hole opens up in Serbia, in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
The internet is blowing up over a giant mysterious hole that appeared in Serbia, Russia. The hole is more than 260 feet in diameter. There's no word on how deep it is, but it appears to be very deep. The internet is buzzing with rumours. Some call it the gateway to hell, others believe aliens drilled the hole. The most logical explanation is a scientist's theory that gas and ice mixed with salt thousands of years ago and ignited an underground explosion. More scientists are on the way to investigate. The area is called Yamal, which translates to the end of the world.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
we found the end of the world.
Do you reckon?
Well, it's a place called Yamal in Serbia, Russia.
So, we'll see.
There you go.
I
That's
wonder if it
your
is.
observations for this week.
Yeah. So, right. Before we call our guest, there was this one that I found. A ghost of the Manson murders next door to where Sharon Tate was killed. Yeah?
Yeah.
Excuse my mic. 12 years ago, David Ullman moved into a new home just 150 feet from 1050 Celio Drive, the house in Benedict Canyon, where Sharon Tate and 4 other people were murdered by the Manson family on August 9, 1969. The mansion was where the murders took place and had been torn down in 94, though a different house was later built on site. 5 years after the home was razed, Ullman's father purchased a nearby plot of $40,000, and together they built a house on it. During the construction, a worker told Ullman heard voices, and a worker told Ullman that he heard voices and footsteps come down from the top floor, and that he knew he wasn't alone. On further inspection, he saw that nobody was there. Others claimed to hear voices and footsteps and feeling cold breezes on the back of their necks. Then in 2004, July, Ullman woke up from a deep sleep at 2 a.m. to find a full-body apparition at the bottom of his bed, pointing towards the driveway which leads to the murder site. He tells me there was no sound. He gestured 3 times and then disappeared. Fascinated and curious, he went to the LAPD to see if items from the murder had been left on the once vacant land that held his house. If a bloodied piece of clothing or knife carrying the victim's DNA had been on this property, that might somehow serve as a connection, he thought. That's when he saw a photo of Jay Sebring, Sharon Tate's close friend and hairdresser, also brutally murdered on that horrible night. Sebring bore an eerie resemblance to the figure he'd seen at the end of his bed. Paranormal activity at the house became something of an obsession for Ullman, as in the last decade he allowed access to dozens of paranormal investigation teams who've brought instruments to measure electromagnetic energy activity in the air, which is thought to be a sign of the spirit world. He says the very first person to document the paranormal activity was world-renowned parapsychologist Barry Taff, who said in over 4,000 cases he investigated, this house had the highest consistent EMF readings ever seen. He called it the Mount Everest of haunted houses and the Disneyland for the dead. Yet living there has never fazed Ullman. By nature a spiritual person, he isn't fearful of ghosts or paranormal activity. I always felt like I wasn't alone. But I'm not afraid of werewolves or fictitious characters, and I do know life is more than just what we see. Besides, I'm way more scared of the living than the dead. In 2011, Ullman served as a writer-producer on House at the End of the Drive, a fictionalised movie based on what he witnessed in Celio Drive. Every few months he now opens his home for the evening of ghost hunting, posting a notice on the film's Facebook page. Want to go ghost hunting at the Omen House? Here's your chance. In May, I decided to join the hunt. That night, on May the 10th, it was dense with cloud cover and a half-moon exposure, a Dracula moon. I park on the very private road high above the Beverly Hills and walk to the Omen House. The garage door is open and a team of men watching multiple monitors of surveillance cameras inside the house. We're looking for activity, they tell me. Omen, warmed and cheerful, introduces me to the group, over a dozen men and women, some gawkers, others who work on paranormal TV shows and consider them experienced in the field. One girl gushes about her and her mum's obsession with the Tate murders, admitting to driving by the streets many times just to see where it happened. Another tells of the evening she spent here a year ago when her very sceptical friend sustained inexplicable, almost blood-like red stain on her dress that she'd smelled like old cat pee. Horrified, the friend would never talk about the dress ever again. That same night, as they were leaving, the woman continues, random cars on the block had only the right front headlight and right back headlight lit, right back light lit all along the street. And as you went up the street towards the old Tate place, then the left headlight and the rear left light was lit again on random cars. It was like a map or trail of some sort. Omen guides our group to a tour downstairs. As we descend to the winding metal staircase, a man stands at the bottom holding a meter that looks like a cell phone. The activity is huge. Look at this. It's like almost 2,000, and that's crazy. Up next, photos of possible paranormal activity on the property. You can read the full text there. I shall put the link on there for you. And that was posted by Nina Giovannitti on Friday, July the 18th. So I'll leave that for you to view over.
To peruse.
Peruse. So that's me on that one. Right,
Yes.
okay. So, bear with me. Let's get this out of the way.
The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store is a one-stop shop for all of your ghost hunting gadgetry needs. Run by ghost hunters for ghost hunters, the shop is filled with all of the latest in investigation equipment, shipped in from all around the world, from high-quality digital dictaphones to EMF pumps, infrared illuminators to laser grid pens, CCTV equipment to data loggers. All of our equipment has already been imported, so you can buy it safe in the knowledge that there will be no hidden costs. And with our postage promise, you'll never pay more than the actual postage price. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.
Right, well, that was a message from our pigs down there in East Sussex. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, we've got James Whittaker with us. Just want to say that there have been stories about black-eyed kids which began to appear in 1988, starting with journalist Brian Bethel reporting on a meeting with two unusual, confident and eloquent children who attempted to talk to him into giving them a ride in his car. In his story, Bethel said that he almost opened the door and let the children in until he noticed that their eyes were completely black with no irises or pupil. He went on to say that as soon as the children realised he seen something odd, they became angry and insistent, and he drove away quickly. So we're going to find out more about these black-eyed kids, but first of all, we're going to find out a bit more about James Whittaker. Good evening, James.
Hiya.
How are you?
I'm alright, yous?
Yeah, not too bad. Now, thanks for joining us on the show.
It's a welcome.
We're getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know why, but never mind. We'll sort something out there. Now, James, now you're not that old, are you? What should we say? You're in your 20s, are you?
Yeah, 24 later this year.
Yeah, and you've decided to become a paranormal investigator of sorts.
Yeah, from a a really young age, really. You know, something I was always, interested in.
Yeah. Okay. And now, you've not just gone for one genre, have you? You're not just gone for one topic. You've literally gone into it like a bull in a china shop, haven't you? With your cryptozoology, your ufology, and your paranormal. You're basically the paranormal investigator, aren't you? Because with paranormal investigators, it's not just ghosts, is it?
It's not. No, it covers such a wide range, from different forms, entities, to your casual ghost sightings and hauntings.
Yeah, and you're definitely a new kid on the block, I would say. Now, we've been discussing a little bit there about the black-eyed kids there. We'll go into that in a moment. But you've got some web pages that you've mentioned to me. Now, first of all, what was the first thing you decided to go to look into?
Well, originally, when I was younger, it was all about Bigfoot for me. So Bigfoot really opened the doors to the UFO side of things, to the paranormal, really at the beginning of it. So, and as I researched more into all these subjects, it made much more, more doors open for me.
Yeah.
With the last few weeks was the black-eyed kids.
Right, and you mentioned about the dog men in UK. Now you've got a website, you've got a Facebook site for that, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
What are these dog men? It's the first I've heard of them.
Yeah, they seem to be a completely separate species compared to your average Bigfoot. Your Bigfoot are generally about 6 to 7 foot tall, humanoid in appearance, and some researchers call them the missing link between us humans and apes.
Yeah.
While the dogman seems to be, it fits in that whole category, about the same size, humanoid, but it looks more like a wolf, a canine-like creature.
Right, funny you should say that. So are we saying a bit like werewolves sort of thing? Because there's a place in Cannock Chase which seems to have everything. It's down near Birmingham, and they've reported seeing a werewolf as well as a giant serpent and ghosts and UFOs. So is that what we're actually seeing in the UK?
And not forgetting the pigman.
Oh yeah, and the pigman. But
Yeah.
but is that what we're actually seeing? Are we defining them as werewolves?
I think that's the big question, because we still don't, there's so much more about Bigfoot we don't know. So, with the dogman, it's, this whole different mystery.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people out there who claim that there is actual werewolves, people that actually turn into these humanoid wolf-like creatures which can stand up.
Yeah. And
then you've got this other category of these creatures which, very well, like you just mentioned about Cannock Chase and those werewolf-like creatures, but they seem to be in that condition, in that state of mind, that shape, 24/7, even in the daytime.
Yeah, yeah. So now, to go on to your black-eyed kids. Now, you intrigued me with what you sent me on your email. Is the fact that there's obviously they're called BEKs for short, but sometimes they're referred to as Djinns or Arkons. Now, I've never heard black-eyed kids being referenced to Djinns, and I don't know what an Arkon is. So if you can explain this, why you think there's a connection.
Yeah, sure, and I'll get to other connections in a bit, but to start off with, Arkons seem to be another name for demons or some form of demonic entities. While Djinns they seem to want to take, the form of, to get to basically mess with our mind, to scare us.
Yeah.
And they're a demonic entity from, I think it's like the Middle East. And Djinns would most probably, take the shape of children.
Yeah.
Because in our culture, if we see a child that needs help, then our instant reaction is to help that child.
Right, okay. So if you can tell us a bit about the black-eyed kids, and then tell us about what your research is about.
Yeah, sure. Well, I originally started with the black-eyed kids, by listening to what you mentioned earlier about Brian Bethel, the journalist who had an encounter with two strange, creepy children who were very well, black eyes. They already had this sort of this energy about them, not a nice energy, just this energy that they were letting off.
Yeah.
And by the sightings that I've looked up, most of the sightings normally after children having their head tilted down, not to show their eyes. And I think, there's been talk that they use the eyes as like a last resort if they need to.
Yeah.
To send a complete fear into their the people that they knock on their houses to.
Okay. So where do you think they're coming from? Do you know? Have you worked that one out?
Sounds a bit Children of the Damned.
It does sound like Children of the Damned, doesn't it? So, and they're not. But there was a while ago that some people were thinking that maybe it was just a load of kids going around with contact lenses in and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
There's been that story going around, but apparently you've got to let them in, haven't you?
You do, yeah. That's that's the deal with them. And I spoke to people about this before. The skeptics. That it's okay for them to say it's black contact lenses, but you're looking at these kids are ranging from the years 8 to about 12, 13.
Yeah.
And a lot of these, they happen in the middle of the night, sometimes 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then, with a child that age, you've also got to wonder, where do they get that sort of money to buy contact lenses?
Yeah.
And then it's also, just the physical side of them, how they're able to scare the people that they encounter.
Okay, so obviously you've not come across these black-eyed children, have you?
No.
But
thank goodness.
But we're hearing stories of not just kids, though. We're hearing stories of whole families and adults as well.
Yeah. Have you?
Yeah. I mean, it's normally like 2 at a time that come knocking on your door.
Yeah.
And the more common factor is that the age is like 8 to 13, but there are other accounts coming out now that there are black-eyed kids coming to doors, which they're not even being called black-eyed kids, they're being called black-eyed people because they can be from like 19 to 20, even older.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're not kids anymore.
No, I mean, we're even... I read a story that I actually put on the observations recently, that one black-eyed person, shall we say, male, actually helped somebody rather than scare them. So it was asking the question, are all black-eyed people actually demonic or evil?
Yeah. What do you think?
That's strange, because we don't know what they are, I mean, there's been theories chucked out there that there could be some form of ET alien hybrids. And I think if we are going to go down that route, I think people have got to remember that even though like 90% of these encounters are really hostile, they're not, they're not aliens. I don't think actually would be hostile. So maybe, that there is, like maybe out of like 10 encounters, maybe one out of those 10 encounters would show that the black-eyed kids aren't all evil.
Yeah. Do you think they are? Some people connect them with vampires. Do you think they are?
I've not really gone down that road yet. I mean, I've been thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, vampires, demons, and ETs, they seem to be the 3 most popular theories at the moment of what they actually are.
Yeah, I think the demon thing seems to come from the TV program Charmed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All the demons in that had black eyes.
So, and have you been investigating the encounters people are having with them, and maybe coming up with your own scenarios?
Yeah, I've been documenting quite a few. Well, I think at the moment, I've got about 50, 60 reports.
Yeah.
And they go, they go from America to Germany, and I've even got one or two for the UK.
Really?
Yeah. There's one account which we believed happened around 2008, 2009. And this took place in Norwich.
Oh yeah.
Where this guy, he was walking to get to his friends, and his friend lived near a cemetery. So as he was walking, he came across these. Well, in the distance, he called them children.
Yeah.
But as he got nearer to them, he could sense that there was something more, and they didn't give off the feeling that he should be scared of them, but there was this uneasy feeling about them, and they just kept on asking him over and over again if he would walk them to the cemetery. And he already thought that this was strange due to how big the cemetery was, and they would have seen it.
Yeah.
So he walked them to the cemetery, and they wouldn't go in. They asked him that if he would go in there with them. He tried to change the question, and like a lot of the other encounters, they just seem to not have only one set question on the mind, which is the same question, and they just kept on becoming more and more demanding, which was come in the cemetery with us. It pretty much ended where they turned around to him, the one that was speaking, and said, "You really need to come in here with us." And then that's when he actually noticed that, because they lifted their heads for a little bit, he saw the eyes.
Yeah.
And as soon as he saw the blackness, he just had this overwhelming fear, that they weren't human, and he legged it.
Oh no. Okay, I was having a think about this today, and I was wondering if it's a light sensitivity issue. Could the reason be that the pupil or iris expands to enable them to see, or is it a form of AIDS syndrome where the iris expands, but obviously in the AIDS syndrome, not all the white disappears?
Yeah, that's a very possible theory, and I think something that some of these sightings should be looked up. Especially with the good ones that maybe they're not actually black-eyed kids, but they've got some form of issue with their eyesight or their eyes. The only thing with me with that situation though is just the way that they give off this overwhelming sense of dread and fear.
But couldn't that just be because you're seeing somebody with just jet black eyes?
Yeah, it could be, but with most of the sightings, the children always have their heads tilted down, so the person, before they even see the eyes, they already get this feeling about them, this uneasy, unnerving atmosphere feeling about them.
Right. Okay. I mean, obviously, medically, it's impossible for the human eye to dilate on no white shows, and it has been suggested that it's down to demonic possession. If so, could it be that some of us can see this, which is why we actually see him with the black eyes?
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, I've spoke to people before about, because there are people out there, who I spoke to who say, that they are they could be full-on demons, and they're just, they're like a shapeshifter. They're just, changing their shape into what we feel and that we would react to, what we would actually help, which would be, children. But I I have spoken to other people who think that there's a possibility that maybe, you know, that there is some form of demonic possession that's actually happening around the globe with some form of entity or whatnot.
So, do you think they are some sort of phenomena? Are they only seen at night? Do you think they are really ghosts or anything like that?
Well, with the reports I've gathered, you know, I believe that it's real. I'm not seeing one yet. You know, I don't want to, but in a way I do, you know, just so I can actually clarify it for myself.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, people are seeing something, especially with all these reports coming out. I mean, Brian Bethel was, you know, he was the first one really to report it, and then, you know, he basically opened the floodgates for everybody else. You know, people who had maybe seen them, but they were scared or people would think of them.
Yeah.
And then they started, you know, opening their eyes, and then after they heard about Brian Bethel's account, they spoke up. I mean, I know there's been some cases that happened back in the, you know, before the internet, like back in the 1950s, 1940s.
Yeah.
So I definitely do think that there is something real to this. Now, I don't know what exactly they are. Like I said, you know, there's some strong, you know, theories out there. I'm not too sure about ghosts, but you know, ghosts are their own kind of entity. So, you know, it could work out. And like you mentioned before about the demons and vampires, you know, these black-eyed kids seem to draw from each one of these. I mean, you got your demons, you know, where they've been, you know, where they've seen with black solid eyes, and then you've also got like the vampire aspect where they need to be invited into the, you know, the building.
Yeah.
And there has been some sightings, that's happened in the daytime.
Okay. So where do you think your investigation into the black-eyed kids will take you? How much more detail do you want?
I want to build some form of, you know, database. You know, start finding people who are openly wanting to, you know, for me to interview them. I'm really wanting to find out as much as I can about them. You know, because when we look at what we used to have as phenomena, so you know, your ghosts, you know, stories of demons, even of the devil, of Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster. So when you look around all those subjects, the black-eyed kids is really a new one, if we're being honest, just because of how little we actually know about what they are.
Yeah, a bit like the shadow people. They're quite, you know, few and far between. So it's another topic that people are really interested in as well, you know, trying to find out what they are as well. So I think them two are actually on a par with themselves, aren't they? What people are trying to find out.
They both seem to have come through big time in the last 12 to 18 months for some reason.
Yeah.
I was wondering, are all the reports you've got, are they just verbal reports? Or does anybody actually have any authentic photographs of these black-eyed people?
At the moment, it's all verbal. You know, that's all we can go on. What I have noticed is, and what I've heard is that there is no photographs. There's no video footage. There's nothing of these kids. Also, with some of the sightings where there's CCTV nearby, it seems that during those encounters, just before they arrive, and just as they disappear again, the CCTVs, the cameras, they just seem to malfunction, like there's some form of glitch in the programming of it.
It's unusual. But then again, I suppose that happens with ghosts as well, doesn't it?
It does, but it makes you wonder why all we're getting is verbal accounts. I mean, even with some we're getting pictures of supposed alien beings and ghosts and everything else. Why are we not getting these?
Yeah, it's something that really makes you wonder why we haven't got that sort of evidence. And I think that's another thing that I'd like, to see if in this really close by in the future, if anybody is actually able to come up with some form of evidence.
Yeah.
If it was just like one or two stories, then I would just write it off and maybe an urban legend, or they're just making up stories.
Yeah.
But this seems to be going worldwide, and you're looking at so many sightings, and even today there's more and more coming out. It's just that we just haven't got the right form of evidence. You know what I mean?
Mm. Like they always seem to travel in pairs. Why do you think that is? Have you got any scenarios?
Excuse me?
They always seem to travel in pairs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you any ideas why that could be?
No, I've no idea about why or how, and I know there's been some accounts where they turned up in threes. I don't believe there's ever been an account of just one of them. They seem to be, and this fits in with the old ET theory, the hybrid theory, that they turn up at these houses and even public buildings and offices. And they seem to have, they seem to be intelligent in their own way, but they don't seem to have the right form of language of our, nature. Yeah, because we ask them questions, we try to find out more about them in some of these encounters, and it's like they never even heard your question. They just go back onto their question, and as the time goes on, they become more and more demanding about coming into the property.
Yeah, and they seem to insist on getting your permission, don't they? Which is another classic vampire trait, really, to invite a vampire into your home or into your domain.
But it's also an evil thing as well. When it comes to demons and things, you invite them into your home.
Yeah, you have to invite them in.
You don't just come in on their own.
No. So, have you ever been told about what clothes they wear or the description of them? Because most of the stories, I think, they're always unusual or drab clothing.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, the only clothing that they seem to wear is either your typical baggy clothing, including hoodies sometimes. And then there's been sightings of them wearing like Victorian clothing, very unusual to our time period of today.
Yeah. So that's what makes me wonder whether they are actually spirits or, some sort of entity that they're seeing, that, ghost or whatever. But maybe are they asking for help? Do they actually, have you ever heard of any stories where they've actually hurt anybody?
I've not heard of any stories when they've actually hurt anybody, but I have heard of 1 or 2 stories of when that person has actually let them into their property. One such account, and this is a pretty recent one, it was back in around, I believe it was 2005. This woman over in America, she was doing her daily thing, it was about 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then she heard this knocking on the door, but there was like a pattern to the knocking. So she opened the door, and then she saw these 2 kids that were stood there. Both their heads were tilted down, and then she asked them, if they needed help, if they were okay.
Yeah.
And then the one that was responding said that we need to use the telephone, and my friend here needs to use the bathroom. So she, and this is very rare because not many people actually open the doors to them. And she felt this feeling of unnerve, but to her it wasn't the sense of, I'm scared, I need to get out of here, or I need to slam the door in their face.
Yeah, they're 2 children basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they're going to do.
Yeah, so she opened the door, she let them in, she told the one who wanted to use the phone, it's down there on the hallway. And then before she could tell the other one where the toilet was, he just went upstairs, like he knew where it was. And at that point, she was, it was like she should have been aware that, she needed to tell him where the toilet was.
Yeah.
But at that point, she didn't find it strange at all.
No.
So she walked past the staircase, and then the boy, he just stood in front of the telephone, just like he was looking at it, like he had never seen one before.
Yeah.
And then she told him, he can use it. At which he looked at her. She saw the black eyes. She became overfeared by them. And then first reaction was, because she let them in, that she needs to get basically the hell out of there.
Yeah.
As she turned behind her, the boy who she thought went upstairs was actually behind her in front of the front door. So at this point, she could see that both of them were trapping her way in, from the front and the back.
Mm.
And all she could see were their black eyes. So she went into a side room. I believe it was the living room. She closed the door, and she just, as she closed the door, she was just leaned against it, basically locking it from her side. And then all she could hear for the next 20 minutes was them asking and demanding to come in, and then they were just knocking and banging on the door.
Yeah.
And about 20 minutes had passed, and the noise had, just vanished. And she knew that she didn't want to go out there, but she knew, that if she didn't, anything could happen. So she had to make a decision, based on her gut.
Yeah.
And she opened the door. She legged it through the back garden, over the fence, and then she ran back. She went, I believe it was about 3-4 streets away, where one of her friends lived. And she told him what happened.
Yeah.
And obviously he was skeptic about it,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time he could see the fear in her face.
Yeah.
So he agreed that he would go back to her place.
Yeah.
So she would have somebody there just in case,
Mm.
because he didn't believe her. And then they went back, and it was empty. The front door was open, the back door was open, and there were, the telephone was on the floor, and there was little bits, suggesting that something did happen there, but there were just no evidence of any children or anything during that time.
Yeah. So the Viscount's asking some questions. Obviously, he said what has happened when they entered. You've told us a story about that, but he also asked, what do you think these black-eyed people are? What do they want? What's your opinion, your hypothesis on this?
I would actually say that these black-eyed children, the black-eyed people, I would definitely say they're not human. These are, and as some people say, they could be some form of, not demon or spirit, but something, ancient maybe, from times before. Mm-hmm. Maybe even the stories of God and the devil and demons.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe that they are something that are not meant to be in this world. I think that these are some form of entities, I could call them, which clearly they're getting off on scaring people.
Yeah.
Making them, it's like they've got some form of, excitement about it. It fills them up, making people scared.
Some people suggest they've got mind control.
Yeah, that's been another, Brian Bethel mentioned this as well, with his case where when he nearly opened his car door to them, and he's not said that they definitely did have mind control, but he did say that, he weren't going to let them in, especially when he saw the eyes.
Yeah.
But then a few moments later, he noticed that his hand was basically on the handle, ready to open the door. And, he recalls not putting his hand near the handle. So I definitely do think that they've got some aspects of mind control. Yeah. I don't think to the extent where they can fully, take control of the actual body, but maybe like little tricks, like, just tempting you and making you a little bit closer to letting them into the car of the building.
It just seems a bit weird.
Like I just said there, it sounds like what people say when they encounter aliens.
Yeah, when they encounter aliens, yeah.
But they're saying that they seem to get off on people, on scaring people. Do you think they're feeding on negative energy?
Yeah, I very much think, that is one of the strongest possibilities, not what they are, but, what they actually are doing or what they want, because as far as we know, we don't know what they truly want, we don't know what they do when they, if they get into your house. But like I was speaking to David Weatherly a while back, and he was saying to me, though, that there's every possibility that these things, these entities, that's what they're needing from us. They're needing to make us feel helpless, so they can take control of that with their fear and, just making us feel like worthless, maybe.
Has any of the people that have encountered these black-eyed people reported a time loss where they've, for want of a better word, they've blacked out, they've lost time?
Not as far as I'm aware, or maybe it's just because I haven't really looked into those or I found any accounts.
Yeah.
The most, that I've seen is, heard of accounts of military guys or security guys who seem to, after they have their encounter, they just cry themselves to sleep. That's the nearest.
Yeah.
There was one person who had an experience, and after the experience, she became paranoid. She kept thinking that they were, watching her, that they were there. So every night, she would just get into her bed, and as she was in her bed, trying to keep her eyes open, she would just fall asleep, just because of how lack of time she was, just the negative energy.
Yeah. So,
what do you think their end purpose could be?
Yeah. Did you get that?
I think their end purpose is going to be, something. I think they're going to continue, maybe evolving. Maybe they're going to try new ways to get into our house, because clearly at the moment their techniques that they're using aren't going pretty well. Unless some of the missing people that we get in the world, worldwide, could be the cause of the black-eyed kids. But the end purpose, I think they're after something, and I think it comes back to the theory, because, if they are an ET or some form of hybrid, then their end purpose is going to be different to some form of demonic force or entity. So
you're saying they could be like alien human hybrids?
Yeah, that's been a very popular theory with them. The only thing that sometimes knocks me off that is, them having to be invited into your house. But I think, a lot of people seem to love the theory of them being alien hybrids. And like we mentioned before about the black eyes and, the black eyes having the connection with the demons.
Yeah, it makes me wonder why they need to invite you, why they can't just come in.
Yeah, that's the thing that, that I've never really put with the aliens part, because the aliens, they've got black eyes too, so they've got that connection, but the simple matter that they need to be invited into the home, that doesn't make sense with your typical ET theories out there. So that would, that sounds more like vampire in a way.
Yeah. Do you know anything of the story of a woman who had a 10-year-old son and invited the black-eyed child in? Do you know anything about that led to an accident and a long illness?
Yeah, I heard about that account. I was listening to one of David Weatherly's interviews the other week about that.
Yeah, what was that about?
Excuse me?
Oh, can you enlighten us a bit more on that story?
Yeah. She had, basically, the whole family was there, and, the same normal occurrence happened where there was a knock on the door, with like a certain pattern to it.
Yeah.
And the door was open, and it was actually the little boy who opened it. Now, during this time, the little boy thought that this other boy was a boy and he was a friend. So he invited the child in. I believe the mother got a child and everybody else out of the house, and the black-eyed child actually disappeared, vanished soon after, and that's when they all had, some form of bad luck.
Yeah.
And one member of the family lost a job. Then you had the little boy who you spoke about, who became ill, and they took him to the doctors. And one day, the doctors, they couldn't say what the boy had, what illness it was, because one day, they said it was meningitis. Then a few days after, it was the cold. Then it was measles. Then it kept changing, and then several weeks down the line, then this illness, it just seemed to vanish. And I know some people put this down to because he had close experience with the black-eyed kid when he'd let them in.
Right. Okay. Well, it's curious about the alien human hybrid, because everything seems to interact with everything else. Because
I mean, I was just wondering if they are alien human hybrids, which presumably are among us all the time anyway. Do you think that they can actually change their eyes so they're not always black? So when they're doing the normal day-to-day stuff, then their eyes are like ours.
I think that's that's one of many possibilities. I mean, we still don't know, what the agenda of many of these alien species are. And there's this whole thing going on about, the New World Order, and then about these alien ET hybrids.
Yeah.
And we still don't know, I mean, we've heard report stories on these experiences and encounters, but we don't actually know, what the ET's plans are later on. So saying that, I mean, you got an ET hybrid, so it's every possibility that just like a regular ET, that they would have some form of abilities of some sort.
It would be interesting to know whether a while after these encounters, these people have alien encounters and become abductees or something. Because I'm wondering if that's like a precursor to maybe an alien abduction or an alien encounter.
You think that maybe they're being marked for a future event?
Possible mark for a future event. What makes you think of that concept, James?
I think, that's another one where it's being one of these things where, if they were ETs, that would make perfect sense, because ETs, they, there's all these talks about abductions with all these people, and of course ETs would need some form of information regarding, where all these people are, and maybe for them to be a bit more scared or have negative energy to help with that.
Yeah.
I definitely think that these black-eyed kids, if they are connected to the ETs in some form of possible way, that they could very well, be marking future abductees for the fellow ETs, and maybe, maybe they're doing something, maybe they've got some form of other plan to help with the ETs regarding all these humans that they visit.
Yeah, that was my initial thought, sitting here thinking about that, actually, that maybe they come in first and mark these people, so to speak, for possible abductees or alien communication or something. You know what I mean? It could be possible.
Yeah, I mean, every possibility. about that.
But as I say, a lot of things revolve around everything else. You know, it's like going back to your Bigfoot. Some people think that maybe when you see the Bigfoot, you see a UFO or something. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
You know, it's all connected.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard, you know, encounters of Bigfoot, you know, where they've been seeing their UFO hotspots, and there's been some encounters where they've been seen carrying some form of glowing orbs, and there's been other reports of other creatures associated with possibly, you know, UFOs and aliens, like the chupacabra.
Yeah.
And I think another place where it could, maybe the Black-Eyed Kids originate from, maybe they don't, is the Dosey base over in America.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems to be a base where the military and aliens, if it's a real base, they seem to be working together doing cross-species. So maybe it's every possibility that there's some form of creatures like Bigfoot being created there. And if that is true, then there's also the every possibility that maybe hybrids or Black-Eyed Kids, if they are hybrids, are actually starting off their lifespan from Dosey.
Being created.
What base is that?
Whereabouts is that?
That's over in New Mexico.
Are you talking about Area 51?
No, Dosey base.
Dosey base. So it's another base. So are you saying that they could be being created then?
I think that there's every possible thought of that being happening. I mean, if Dosey base is real, because, you know, we can see the base using Google Maps of Area 51, and we know that Area 51 is there. But with Dosey, it's supposed to be hidden underneath like a cliff. So all we've got is people's reports or stories on Dosey. But I do think that if there is some form of cross-species experiments going on at Dosey, there's every possibility that there's some darker plans at Dosey regarding, you know, some form of hybrids and aliens.
This touches on conspiracy theories, doesn't it, Steve?
It does. I mean, the bit you just said there, it actually relates to Escape to Witch Mountain, the recent one.
Yeah.
Because they had a base in that was under a cliff.
Yeah.
Actually in the mountain rather than on it.
Right. The Viscounts come back to say, I always understood these tales as the classic black-eyed, scaryless alien disguising themselves as children. So he's wondering whether that's what it is. They're actually disguising themselves. That could be possible, couldn't it?
It could. I mean, Andy said there, with in the age of the technology we have, where just about everybody's got a mobile phone and a camera on it, that there's no pictures out there.
Well, then I suppose
someone's got to have one somewhere.
Go on, James.
Yeah, and you know, that's, like I said before, you know, that's the thing, you know. I mean, you would have thought, even if this is a new phenomenon, that there would be some form of evidence out there. And maybe out there somewhere, maybe somebody has got some evidence out there, but they don't believe in themselves. So because they don't believe in themselves, they think that their encounter they had, they can simply count it as some form of natural, you know, occurrence.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they don't want to come forward, and maybe they have got evidence, maybe not.
Because, as you say, but it's relatively new, even though you've heard of encounters back in the 50s. It is relatively new. You know, how did the people that were starting to see ghosts or Bigfoot feel? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does seem to be the last 12 to 18 months that this thing's really took off for some reason.
Yeah. So, but I'll be interested to know what you find out in your research, James.
Yeah, I'll be able to let you guys know. You know, I'll be posting a ton of stuff on my Facebook and my admin pages. You know, I'm just hoping that, you know, I'm going to be getting much more reports and encounters in the future. and fingers crossed, we come across some form of, especially photographic evidence of them.
Yeah. Are you following up on the people that you've got reports from to see if anything else has happened?
Yeah, I'm currently I'm waiting to speak to Brian Bethel. I've got him on Facebook. I added him, and he said to me about a fortnight ago that he's noticed that I'm interested in the same things as him. Meaning the black-eyed kids.
Yeah.
And he said to me that at the moment he's a bit busy, but in the next few weeks he would like to talk to me and tell me more about his detail in depth. Instead of me having to go through all these different websites and listen to it like second or third hand.
Yeah.
So I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah. Well, when was it actually occurred with him?
With Brian Bethel.
Yeah.
1996, I believe.
So it'd be interesting to find out whether he's had any other experiences since then. With,
yeah.
Like Sue said, of alien sightings and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, there's all these, possible, chances, whether they're demons or whether he's had some form of, maybe UFO encounter or experience of some kind. Even if it was maybe like in a dream or something.
Yeah. And there's David Weatherly. He's another one of your contacts, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
Yeah, and he's written a few books, and one of them is about the black-eyed children. So maybe people can have a look at that and see what they think. And
yeah, I definitely think if there's anybody out there who wants to look into these black-eyed children or black-eyed kids or BEKs more, then get a copy of his book or one of his books.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of research, because the more research you seem to do, you seem to find out that there's much more. That there's more chances, there's more evidence of sorts, even though there's no physical evidence, but there is something going on.
Yeah. So, but hopefully we will find the truth out there to this new phenomena that's going on, and maybe there'll be more out there, like you say, that can come forward and start telling people about these and what actually happens when they get let them in and this, that, and the other. See if there's any more concrete evidence to it.
Yeah, because I mean, on the story you said the lady actually got herself out there, but has anybody ever stayed to find out what they want and been there when they've left?
Yeah, and that's a big question, because apart from the lady I told you about, and also the story I told you about with the little boy, there's no report or encounters of any form of attacks or them getting into a house. So we don't, at the end of the day, we don't know what actually, happens once they do get in. So as far as we're concerned, maybe they have got into some houses and maybe they unthinkable. However much we don't want to think about it, maybe, some bad things have happened to some people.
Yeah. So do you actually think it's a hoax, or do you think it's real?
I believe, I think this is real,
Yeah.
Yeah, very much real.
And what would you do if you found out it was a hoax?
I just get on. If I found out it was a hoax, then I would openly, admit to everybody. I would admit, that I might have got it wrong, But I think there's, a bit too much out there at the moment to say that, it is a hoax. Because all these different people from all different backgrounds, including, security, government, single mothers, and they're all coming forward with, their own encounters of these strange entities.
It would be fascinating to find out that they were some sort of scouting party, for want of a better word, for aliens to abduct future abductees. That would be an interesting, scenario.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been other theories too, like including the Slender Man, where he was merely originally, created by some teenagers, some students having fun, and they posted about him online with photos, making it out that he was real when he's just a hoax. And then a few years after, and that he just seems to have taken, like his own life. Like, everybody's reactions to him and thoughts about him have maybe created him.
Definitely. So, well, thanks a lot for coming on for us, James. As I say, you've got some Facebook pages, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
So what are your Facebook pages again?
You can contact me on facebook.com/ufology.uk, and that's my main one. I'm also, at the moment, because of my research into the Dogman, I'm also got a Facebook page called Dogmen of UK. And then you can just contact me through my profile, which is James Whittaker.
And you've got one Paranormal Rendezvous as well?
Yeah, I've got that one too, yeah. That one's just, we're getting that lifted off too. And we've got that one. That's pretty much a new one for me. But I'm on them all, so,
right. Okay then, my love. Well, thanks very much for giving us your time. And,
thanks for having me.
And as I say, it's been great talking to you, and hopefully we'll talk to you again when you get more and more investigations into your topics under your belt and see what you found.
Can you just check that last question there?
All right. James, the Viscount wants to know, did James ask to be a friend on Facebook? Is this the same bloke?
You have to ask him, because it's not the Viscount on Facebook, is it?
Right. Did you ask somebody called Stephen Graham to be a friend of yours?
I don't know how to check that one out.
Right, okay. He said, did James ask to be my friend on Facebook? Yes. So have a check to see whether you asked Stephen Graham to be a friend of yours. Okay, and then let me know. Okay. All right then, my darling. Well, thank you very much indeed, and I wish you all the best of luck in your investigations into all your topics, UFOs, dogmen, cryptids and what have you, and keep us informed, okay?
I will do, and thanks for this.
Take care, James. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, James.
Well, that was James. Just before I accept. Well, that was, he's going to let me know whether it was him or not. So, basically, in fact, if I just find you his profile, you can find out for yourself, can't you, Stephen? Give me a sec. And, well, it's quite interesting. The guy's up and coming, and obviously he's looking to... he's looking to, get into many genres. So all credit to him.
All credit to him, indeed. But I think he's taken on too much.
Too soon.
Too soon.
He's running before he can walk.
It's not that. He's trying to tackle too many different subjects at the same time. And
no, that's what he's concentrating on at the moment. He said he's concentrating. That's his current work. He's doing that to try and find a more detailed look into them. So we'll see what happens with that. So, which can be quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a subject that's very much the subject at the moment. Like I said, for the last 12 to 18 months, there's been loads of reports on black-eyed people, not just kids, but adults as well.
Yeah.
But nobody seems to. People just seem to see the black eyes and feel scared and threatened. And I think the rest is down to people's imagination.
Yeah, this is it. So it's it would be interesting to know that if they are actually connected to aliens, and maybe they are a scouting party. Everybody wants to be far-fetched. That's far-fetched, isn't it?
It is, but that's a bit scary.
It is a bit scary.
They're sending black-eyed kids to come and go and look around and go, yeah, take this one.
So,
but it's
and the Viscount said yes, he would go with the alien thing.
I would, but I'm not exactly sure about it being a scouting party. I mean, it's why I asked about whether anybody was actually losing time. You know what I mean? So losing a couple of hours or something.
So, as I say, he's in his 20s, and it all kicked off with Sasquatch and Bigfoot sort of thing.
I mean, all credit to him. I mean, he's trying to find answers, and you never know. He might just be the one that cracks the case.
Well, you never know. So it could be a newbie that does it. Because maybe us oldies look so far into it that we're missing the point.
I don't think it's that. I think in a lot of cases, with the guys that have been doing it all this time, sometimes there's so many theories they forget to look what's right in front of them.
Yeah, this is it.
And they miss this one point that's right in front of them that connected to everything else.
Yeah.
Opens the door.
So,
like Viscount said, maybe we're looking too hard.
Well, this is it. That's what I just said. Maybe we are looking too hard, and people come in with fresher eyes. A bit like crime scene, isn't it? Really. You get a cold case, you open it up, and people see it with fresh eyes, and they find the theory and the result of it. You know what I mean? So, it could be just that. I'm glad the Viscount agrees with me. Andy said, I did once see someone who appeared to have silver eyes, but I'm sure they were just contact lenses. I saw somebody with tiger eyes.
Yeah, that's...
but they are contact lenses.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading the story yesterday when I was looking around about these black-eyed kids.
Yeah.
And there was one lady on there, which she's actually got green eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But when she really loses it, her eyes go grey.
What?
When she really pissed off, loses her temper.
Yeah.
Her eyes go grey.
Wow.
And so much so that her friends make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
And when her eyes go grey, get out of here, get out of the way. But
I don't know.
But what have we got on the old PE for you?
PE for you. That's what's coming up next. Like I'm saying, cats' eyes go black when they're upset. Fact. Definitely.
So are we talking about cat people now?
Anyhow, they could be. Maybe they're cat people, not black-eyed kids. You never know. Right. Okay.
We've got all the news right here. Don't go away.
Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Well, if you're in the Blackpool area between now and October, you will find Blackpool Ghost Walks with author of Haunted Blackpool and founder of Supernatural Events, Stephen Mercer. This summer, he will take you to some of the Blackpool's most famous and, of course, most haunted locations, where you will hear tales of unearthly events to make you question everything you thought you believed in. So for your spooky trail, join up at 7:30 at the front of North Pier by the LED advertising screen for a 1.5 hour tour with full accessibility to all and family friendly. Visit www.blackpoolghostwalks.co.uk for details. On the 25th of July, Station Hotel Dudley. This event includes a chance to stay the rest of the night in the very haunted room 217 if you dare. Dating from 1898, it is undoubtedly one of the most haunted hotels in the UK, with a long history of ghostly happenings and tales of murder, suicide, adultery, and some sinister, spooky goings-on in the old hotel. It's a must for any ghost hunter. For more details, visit www.personalparanormal.co.uk. If you're in the East Sussex area, why not have an evening at Yesterday's World in Battle? Built in 1410 for the accountant of Battle Abbey, the original building at Yesterday's World is over 600 years old and has many reports of unexplained occurrences. For one night, the 26th of July, you can have a chance to try and experience these unexplained occurrences for yourself. For more information, visit www.the-pigs.co.uk. Also on the 26th of July, Manchester Museum of Transport. From the moment you walk through the door, it's like stepping back into another era. The tea room at the museum is a time capsule that creates the atmosphere and ambience of bus station buffets from a bygone era. With its 1950s decor, you could almost believe you really had stepped back in time. There have been reports of unexplained sightings on and around these old buses, so join Club Zero Paranormal and experience this unique venue in the heart of Manchester. For more information, visit www.clubzeroparanormal.co.uk. Also, if you're in the area of Stockport on the 31st of July and are interested in all things paranormal, then why don't you join Club Zero for an evening of paranormal intrigue at their July meeting, where you can review and book investigations and also review recorded footage, test your knowledge on their paranormal DVD quiz, and also there will be tarot readings by Suzanne Lilly, the occasional guest speakers, and much, much more, including a free door raffle prize. So join them and immerse yourself in the world of the paranormal. For more details, contact www.clubzeroparanormal.co.uk. And don't forget, we have our very own psychic mediums touring the UK with Derek Akora's 2014 Enlightenment Tour. To find out if Derek's appearing near you, visit his website at www.derekakora.com. Plus Tony Stockwell. You can see he's live on tour. Plus dates include Edinburgh and Lancashire this month, where he will be performing with James Van Prague. In America, there is a mediumship evening and also a 3-day course workshop and mediumship evening in Ormskirk, Lancaster. For more information, visit Tony Stockwell's website at www.tonystockwell.com and click events. Finally, Colin Fry's Voices from Heaven Tour 2014. Join Living TV's psychic medium Colin Fry for an evening of clairvoyance. Colin continues his countrywide tour of the UK. For more information, visit www.colinfry.co.uk. Paranormal Events for You support quality events. If at any time a company attracts negative press through their own actions and fail to immediately deal with the situation in favour of the greater mass, i.e. the public, then ParanormalEventsForYou.com reserves the right to remove any mention of that company from their publications. So check out the one-stop paranormal directory for more investigations and events available now. ParanormalEventsForYou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. ParanormalEventsForYou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Well, that's the events coming up in the next few days. Next week we'll be telling you all about what's happening in August. August is nearly upon us, so can't believe that this year's gone ever so quick.
Yeah, the year is flying, isn't it? Just a quick get well soon to our Mr. Christopher.
Chris Andrews, yes.
Andrews from Club Zero, who's normally with us. He's not feeling too good at the present time.
So, yes.
And our commiserations to Emma, who's having to put up with him.
Yes.
In his not well state. Because we all get a bit grouchy and that when we're not well, don't we?
Yes, and on a non-paranormal subject, we lost James Garner today.
We did.
There's been a lot going, haven't there, really? This year, there's been quite a few people have died in the celebrity world.
Hello, Doc. Where you been, mate?
You're late. Where's your ticket?
Yeah, where's your sick note, Doc? Where's your sick note, Doc?
I don't know.
Yeah, how's everything in the US of A?
Yes. So, but as I say, we will be next week. We will be talking to Richard Thomas.
And what does Richard do?
Richard Thomas has been on the show before.
Yes, but for those who don't know.
For those who don't know, I don't know. He does a bit of everything, really. He's just he's an author, blogger, page admin at Richard Thomas. That's what he is. Hold on, what is he? Bear with me. He's been on before. He's from Swansea, down there in southern Wales. I think that's where it is, isn't it? Is it? Isn't it?
Swansea's definitely in Wales, yeah.
It's in Wales. I think it's southern. Let me just have a look.
Yeah, it's just north of Margam, I think.
Is it?
Yes, that way.
So bear with me.
I'm sure the Viscount will correct me if I'm wrong there.
He'll say no, it's in the north.
South Wales. It's about 5 miles from where he is.
Oh right, okay. Right, Richard Thomas. Okay. Oh, that's just telling me when he's coming on. Oh, he is a writer of non-fiction, magazine articles and newspaper columns. He has written articles on a wide range of subjects for the South West Evening Post, Swansea Life, Alien Worlds, UFO Matrix, Mindscape, Paranormal Magazine and many other publications. To read his featured article on Neon Nettle.
So he's a paranormal writer.
He is.
Cool.
Okay.
Good to see what he's come up with.
Right. Well, he's actually going to be talking about the alternative explanations for UFOs and ghosts.
Aha.
That sounds quite interesting.
That sounds to be right up your street, Mr. Andy, but
unfortunately he won't be
here.
He won't
be here. He'll be in Munich.
No. He'll be in Munich.
Having a short break.
So yes, that's what he's going to be talking about. He's been plugging it on our YouTube, on our what's name page for ages.
Andy said they're still tuning.
Really, that would be good. All the way from Munich. So, but yeah, he's also talking about
that's loyalty for you.
Neon Nettles, whatever that's all about.
We'll have to have
.com. Have you ever wondered how ghosts work? Just as UFOs have become synonymous with alien visitors, similar it is often assumed that ghosts, if they are real, must be the spirit of the deceased. There are, however, several paranormal theories to explain ghosts that would be equally paradigm shattering to mainstream science if they could scientifically verified and proven to be real and not just the product of overactive imaginations. That's what it says on there anyway, so that could be quite an interesting topic next week.
Yes, we shall see what he's come up with.
Doc said, do they work with a visa? Paradigm. No, it didn't say paradigm actually.
You said paradigm, didn't you?
It says something completely different. Oh, it's just the way he's put it.
I thought you said parody.
Paradigm.
Paradigm.
It's just I was pronouncing it when I shouldn't have done. Yeah, because it was like that. So it's paradigm, is it? Silent G. So, do they work with visas? No, I don't think they do. So, oh dear. So, as I say, I'll still tune in. You damn better. Yeah. Hey, what? I'm confused here. So, he says, I'll still tune in. You damn bet. Yeah. Oh, you damn bet. Yeah. Yeah, it should be about 9 p.m.
And that's loyalty for you.
It is loyalty.
He's going on holiday for a short break, and he still finds time to tune in with us.
So, just to give you a heads up of what's coming in the next couple of weeks, or rather in the next week after that.
And just in my beloved's defence, when we book these people so far ahead of ourselves, we do tend to forget.
Yeah.
What they're going to come on and talk to until the week before.
On the 3rd of August, we've got a lovely young lady coming back on the show called Carla Willis Brandon. Do you remember her?
That was the Afterlife lady.
Yeah. Thoughts of the Parting or something.
Yes, it's it was seeing family members and that just before they actually go over.
Yes.
That's
So
what that was.
she was. It was a very interesting conversation, wasn't it, that we had?
It was. Yes.
Carla Willis Brandon. She's it says MA. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist and the author of 12 published books discussing topics ranging from relationships, healthy intimacy, sexual healing, self-esteem, sexual trauma, addiction, and recovery to grief, death, afterlife research, and spirituality. That covers life, doesn't it, really? She has appeared on numerous television programs.
Does anybody fancy some sexual healing?
She came on the show originally to talk about the departing visions of the dying. Deceased loved ones appear to the dying to gently escort them to the afterlife, and in spite of our death-phobic society, these incredible otherworldly visitations assure us that physical death is not the end. The journey continues. That is a mouthful, isn't it?
It is. I would agree with what you just said as well.
What's that, babe?
What you just said.
The journey continues.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So, but so she's coming on the show in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the time, is I've had personal experience from family members that have seen and heard things before they went.
Yeah, I remember your nan saying a story about your nan, wasn't it?
So my great nan, who lived in South Wimbledon, had nothing to do with Wales at all. Heard the children from the mining disaster calling her.
Yes,
before she went.
Yeah.
And my nan actually saw her son, and he'd been gone a good 12 months beforehand.
Yeah.
Before she went.
So, but yeah, she's
very interesting lady.
She is a very interesting lady, definitely. But I don't know if you've noticed on the Facebook page, but I'll let you know anyway. There's a couple of films coming up in the next few months, more around October. There's one called Jezebel. The official trailer's on there for you to see. But it looks set to go straight to DVD. Not sure of a date yet in the UK. And then you've got Ouija, which is being released on the 24th of October in the US, but no UK release date. But there is mention that it's coming out around about Halloween time. And also the Conjurer spin-off, Annabelle, has been locked in for a release date of the 3rd of October in the US. In the UK. So, and apparently The Conjurer 2, meanwhile, which will bring back Farmiga and Wilson, if I'm reading that right, is currently planned to hit cinemas on the 23rd of October 2015. So they have Carrie Hayes and Chad Hayes have returned to write the sequel, but a director has not been appointed yet following James Wan's decision to leave horror. So just a little bit of an update for you there.
Yeah, and there's the film that come out that's already out, obviously, because you asked me to look for it earlier.
Yes.
Heaven is Real.
Heaven is Real. I saw this just before we started on the show. I saw
Are you trying to bring it up?
a trailer for it. I'm just trying to see what it's about, to be honest with you. That's come out already. And it's based on a true story, apparently. Let me just see if I can tell you a bit about it here. Let me see, where are we? A small town father must find the courage and conviction to share his son's extraordinary life-changing experience with the world, it says. It's not really telling me much about it there.
Yeah, well, when you're saying it's about a 4-year-old boy that can, see dead people.
Amazon mention it, yeah, but it's the book by the looks of it. Yeah, paperback.
Yeah.
A little boy's astounding story of his trip to heaven and back. right? In the book, it's about a young boy emerges from life-saving surgery with remarkable stories of his visit to heaven. It's a real true story of the 4-year-old son of a small-town Nebraska pastor who, during emergency surgery, slips from consciousness and enters heaven. He survives and begins talking about being able to look down and see the doctor operating, his dad praying in the room. Family don't know what to believe, but soon the evidence was clear. And the clip I saw was something about, he said to his father, I saw Granddad, and he showed him a picture of Granddad, and he said that something about...
Didn't he say something? So he said no.
No, he doesn't look that old. So he showed him a picture of
a younger version.
His other another picture of his father, and he said, "Yeah, that's Granddad," and it was a young picture. So might be interesting, but I thought it might be interesting to watch. So I'll give you that. Looking forward to the Conjuring prequel. There is many people that say they have experienced purgatory. Loads of documented cases. Purgatory, do we mean
that's
visit
hell.
heaven? Oh, hell.
That's the opposite.
I've seen purgatory. Yeah, I've seen purgatory. I'm sure I have.
Yeah, I've seen it as well.
But not in the way you're thinking of. But no.
Try any Basildon. No, Basildon can't be that bad.
It's
Andy,
between heaven and hell. So I think that's here, isn't it? By count. Are we not in purgatory now? The way the bloody country's going.
Well, some would say we are.
Yeah. So, but you know, it's.
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
I know what you mean. Though it's the
yeah.
It's when you die, but you don't go one way or the other.
Mm.
So you're stuck in the ether.
Yeah.
So to speak.
You know, it's But now, are the spirits that we're actually seeing, are they stuck in the purgatory when they're haunting these places? What do you think?
It's possible. I mean, some are grounded, some are not. Some come and go.
So it's the grounded spirits.
It doesn't make you wonder.
Are the grounded spirits actually in purgatory?
And Doc in America said it's a score out of a football game.
Is it really? But there's a question for you, Viscount. Are the ghosts we see are actually in purgatory? I wonder.
Or are they here because they want to be?
Or are they here? Are they grounded because they want to be? But then again, how would you feel about people that have asked to be moved on? Do you know what I mean? So, because some places people move on.
Well, there's been times when, as a group, we've come in contact with the spirit, and we've been asked to help them to move on. And obviously, we have tried to do that.
Oh, hello. Good evening, sir. Hello.
Good evening.
How are you, Steve?
Good evening, Steve.
I'm very well, thank you. I was just phoning up in relation to the purgatory statement which I made.
Yeah.
I was making actually reference to a number of people who have not actually died, but I believe very similar to the story on the movie that you're talking about, where they have been taken by whoever, God, whoever it may be, and taken to a place what Catholicism believes is where you go and where you may repent and learn about wisdom, knowledge, and understanding about the world and how you can make it a better place. And then you can either go back to heaven or you can be thrust down to hell. Ah. And there's quite a few recordings on YouTube where a lady, and I don't recall her name, and I remember this many years ago when I lived in Northern Ireland, one of my good friends, Ursula Hamill, a guy called Patrick Pio, he made a saint. He appeared at this place somewhere in Ireland. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this story is because this lady who was at the same time that I was there with my friend, she read a book and has a thing on YouTube, which I must look out for you, where she experienced what she believed was she went to purgatory, and she's seen her family and friends, and they showed her different parts of this purgatory where she could, or she wasn't allowed to actually. I don't know why she was allowed to or not, but she said that she was shown things, but she was not allowed to tell other people about these. But it was her duty to enlighten other people in the sense that to help direct and guide these people. Again, it's all based on the concept of Catholicism, so very religious. But I do believe in that guy's story that maybe they brought out now. I have no doubt about it, because a lot of people experienced out-of-body experiences.
Yeah.
And this young boy has gone one step further, where he's actually gone through the gates of St. Peter and seen things that us will never ever get to see or even hear.
No.
So that's why I was bringing the subject of purgatory in the sense of course, we're not going to get that level, but it's based on the same concept, I suppose.
Yeah.
So could purgatory also be a place of healing before we move on?
Well, that's what the Catholicism believes, that when you go to purgatory, what happens is you go there and you repent, in the sense that you confess all your sins, and you do whatever they have to do to get back into the good books of the Lord or God or whatever it may be. So yes, in the sense, and that's a good point you brought up, is purgatory where we, in the sense of spiritualism, is that where we would go as a spiritualist person to further our wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. That's a valid point. I can't answer the question because that's not my personal belief, but you brought up a wonderful subject, which is definitely a door for a serious conversation and debate.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. Well, thank you for clarifying that.
Can't say I actually know much about the subject, to be honest, but
no, but I believe I've been on the verge.
Yes,
a lot of people have experienced
flatlined.
A lot of people who have not even died or
Yeah.
have seen and felt things that are beyond most people's comprehension. So yes, I have no doubt that there are things going on in this world that we have little no concept of, and we just touch upon them at times. That's all.
Well, I remember when I had an operation, I actually flatlined for 2 minutes, and
you were told to get your ass back.
I was
down
told
here
to
again.
get my backside back down here again, sort of thing. But I remember seeing my grandmother and some of my family, and but I wasn't sure whether I was dreaming it.
Well, that's I had a very similar experience. I was in a very serious car accident, and I was in intensive care. And basically, what happened was at the same time, I recall, and to the day I die, I've told hundreds of thousands of people this story. I was in a place that I can't really describe. I can't say there was colour because there really was no colour. It was really like a greyish colour I can really describe. But if I was standing near a wall, I was supposed to be there. If I was standing near a rock, I was supposed to be there. I could see outlines of people, but I could not see anyone in particular. And I believe my sister's passed away, and it was very many years ago that this experience. And I believe it was my sister standing in front of me. Although I didn't see her, in my heart, I know it sounds a bit weird, I could swear it was my sister. And as I walked towards her, she said, I believe it was my sister, as I say, I believe, she said no, and she put her hand out, and every time I walked towards her, she would take a step back, and it was quite bizarre. Then she walked towards me, and she didn't kiss me and all these things that other people experience. She just touched my chest, and next thing I do, I remember I looked up, and there's this bloke sitting on top of me practically, with 2 bloody paddles, hit me with this electric thing in my chest. So,
Yeah. Have you ever seen a film called What Dreams Come True?
No, I haven't. Sorry.
You should. It's a very good film.
It is actually. Robin Williams.
Yeah, Robin Williams.
A really nice film, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, it's
What Dreams May Come. It's called.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's along those lines where he goes and has a chance to save somebody who's left behind.
Yeah. So, after dying in a car crash, a man searches the afterlife for his wife, and that's what it's all about. But it's
I might look that up on Google and see if we get any free downloads.
Yeah, because I mean, at the beginning of the film, he loses his 2 kids in a car crash, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then he dies, and his wife commits suicide. It's all about.
Just before I go, may I just say about these black-eyed children?
Yeah, what do you think to them?
Sorry, if you don't mind.
No, go on.
What I find interesting, as I say, people are young and they're naive and they want to get into certain aspects of things. When he was describing that, I recall that movie White Noise.
Yeah. And
what they'd done with that movie was a very similar concept of EVP ITC, Intimate Electronic Communication, and they changed that from simple ITC. And what they done is very similar, is that they had these alien-like demons, spirits, whatever you want to call them, that were killing people.
Yeah.
Do you remember the end? They put a twist at the end of it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you know, they all had black eyes, and it was all Hollywood do the same thing with black eyes. Is this just a myth and a legend that's been expanded upon? Because there's no photographic evidence, no video evidence. Only a handful of people have ever discussed it.
Yeah,
I do agree with the hypothesis of the alien thing. You know, are you going to be pre-abductees? These people go and visit. You're suitable to be taken away, and I could go with that. That's not a problem. But for me, it's not my forte, that black-eyed kids, to be honest.
No.
It does sound a bit Hollywood, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's very much Hollywood for me.
And like Andy said, with all the technology and everybody's got a camera in their pocket, you'd expect to see pictures of them somewhere, wouldn't you?
I'd expect at least one decent photograph or maybe 10 photographs and one distant video. You know, even ghost photographs, though most of them are debunked, at least out there are photographs that are going up and people say, here's what I captured. But now you're not showing any photographs of black-eyed children. Photographs, drawings, yes, but no actual photographs or any video footage. No. And the people's experiences are always exactly the same, very much an alien abduction, always based upon the same sort of concepts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where ghosts and spirits are always completely different. These things seem to follow a certain path and criteria.
Yeah, and a lot of the stories are of just people seeing them and just getting out of the way. You know, I mean, he was talking about specific ones where kids have knocked on the door, but most of the stories.
I didn't understand the concept of when these people come to your door and they rap your door and you let them in. What was their end line? What was their eventual purpose? You know, if they're coming there as aliens, okay, you're going to be an abductee. That's fine, but they're just, you know, you have to invite them in. The concept of vampirism, although there's no proof of that, but that's, you know, based upon that concept. Yeah. So what is it they do when they get there? Is the house marked? Are you individually marked? You know, if these people run away from them, you know, what is it, the actual purpose? People say, you give a few examples of where people were crying and emotional and suicidal and paranoid. These will happen. You know, if you get burgled, people will be paranoid and upset, and you know, it's. There was no end game for me.
No, I think that's the big thing. Nobody really knows what the end game is.
The reason for having James on the show was because he's a new kid on the block and he's doing all these different genres, and we wanted like an introductory to him.
No, that's wonderful. It's brilliant to see young people coming along and doing these things.
And we wanted to know this was his current work.
We've been trying to get somebody to talk about black-eyed people for ages, and we just can't.
And basically
finding them.
He's trying to find more detail about them, and he's listening to like David Weatherly and all this, that, and the other, and trying to find out for himself, which is all good, but there's still just not enough on them, I don't think.
And why do you think that is, though, Sue? You know, you got to think about it. When you talk about ghosts and spirits, or you know, energy, spiritualism.
Well, this is it. Like Steve just said, there's too many stories and not enough evidence.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And you know.
And for me, and I've all the utmost respect to the lad. He's getting new into the field of paranormal research, and he's finding a few different genres, and that's wonderful. And hopefully he'll settle down and find what actually works for him. Yeah. But the black-eyed kids, to me is a Hollywood thing that's been has been blown out of proportion, and you know, But I won't disrespect him. I won't be disparaging.
Oh, no,
if the guy wants to look into it, good luck to him, and I wish him all the best.
Yeah, definitely. As I say, these people have got to start somewhere when they get into
Of course.
So, and it was just basically that. So, if maybe when he comes on next, he'll have more concrete evidence.
Well, hopefully that will show that he's developed.
Yeah, I mean, what pleased me more than anything else is that he is backtracking on the people that he's already spoke to and find out if anything else is happening.
Yeah.
He's not just taking a report and going away. He's going back to them.
Anyway, sorry for jumping in again. I just wanted to clarify the purgatory thing. That was all.
You're always welcome, Steve.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right, my darling. Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Well, it was nice to have Steve popping in us. And don't forget, if you want to pop in on Skype with us or contact us on 0844 414 3982 during the show, you can do so. And tell us your theories or anything that you're into and blah, blah, blah. And, and basically that's it for tonight.
Yes, and don't forget, if there's any groups out there that want to come on and tell us about your group, tell us what you do, where you go.
Well,
and what you're all about, you are quite welcome. Just contact us and we'll get you on the show sometime.
Talking about groups, there's a group in New Zealand that's maybe coming on the show soon.
Oh, find out what they do in New Zealand.
Yeah, we've had Americans, haven't we? See what they do in New Zealand. And,
Well, mind you, there was a TV program that was in New Zealand, wasn't it? The one where they put the cameras on the end of a stalker that looks at their faces and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Pardon?
Do you know the show I mean? Can't think what it's called. They wear this head cam that shows them.
Oh yeah, I remember what you mean.
What it's called.
Yeah, they had the webcams on themselves.
Yeah, there's three of them. There's the guy.
Was that Haunting Evidence?
I don't know. There's the guy in the van, and there's a guy and a girl that go out into the different areas.
But as I say, that's about it for tonight, isn't it, Steve?
It is indeed.
Don't forget, we're here next week.
This is where it's at.
And once again, we invite you to do what we always invite you to do, and that is to...
And as Steve said, we invite you to do not only on a Sunday night, but every time. And that is keep the paranormal friendly. Good night and God bless.
Good night, guys.
To see in the night, to measure the spike, to see how cold it's been. I buy my kit so I won't forget the ghosties that I have seen. The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.